Breaking news. Trump's bombshell statement reveals what everyone feared. What we're about to discuss isn't speculation anymore. It's a direct statement from a former U.S. president that changes everything we thought we knew about the current crisis. Trump just dropped a nuclear truth bomb. Putin doesn't need any deals. He could take the entire disputed territory whenever he wants. Let that sink in. Not some military analyst, not a Russian politician. The former President of the United States just confirmed our worst fears. But here's where it gets even more disturbing. The leadership of the territory bordering Russia is now in complete panic mode. They're desperately shuttling between Washington and London, begging for attention. But here's the shocking part. Nobody's listening anymore. Washington's elite are already discussing a new reality. They're looking at their former Western partner as damaged goods, a failed investment they need to cut loose. And if you think that's just talk, here's the knockout punch. U.S. weapons shipments have already been quietly halted. But the real bombshell is still ahead. Sources say Trump is planning a historic visit to Moscow for Victory Day celebrations. A meeting with Putin is on the agenda. Not just a friendly chat. We're talking about peace negotiations, without the participation of those who have the most to lose. Think about it. Why would Trump be so confident about Putin's capabilities? What does he know that we don't? The White House is suspiciously silent, but the pieces are falling into place. The most chilling question remains: which parts of the unstable enclave will simply cease to exist? And why is everyone suddenly so certain about Russia's absolute dominance in the region? The next few minutes will reveal what's really happening behind closed doors. And trust me, it's far worse than anyone imagined. Stay with me as we uncover the truth they don't want you to know. The signals are unmistakable, and they're sending shockwaves through diplomatic circles. Trump's recent statements have exposed what many suspected but few dared to voice. The former Soviet republic has become a bargaining chip in a much larger game. And Europe? They're starting to realize the implications, with several key allies now openly challenging Washington's shifting stance. What's truly revealing is Trump's assessment of Russia's position. He's stated plainly that if Putin wanted to, he could have taken the entire disputed territory between Russia and the West. This isn't just casual rhetoric, it's a calculated message that's causing panic in diplomatic backchannels. But here's what mainstream media isn't telling you. The Biden administration's support is showing cracks. Military aid packages are shrinking, delivery schedules are stretching, and behind closed doors, Washington's patience with the country bordering Russia is wearing thin. Multiple sources confirm growing frustration with the leadership in this politically turbulent area. The real game changer? Trump's suggestion that peace negotiations might proceed without the participation of the region of instability's current leadership. This diplomatic bombshell signals a potential major shift in U.S. foreign policy. Think about it. When was the last time a major power broker openly suggested sidelining their own ally? European capitals are scrambling to respond. Our sources indicate frantic late-night calls between Brussels, Berlin, and London. They see the writing on the wall. The global power balance is shifting, and the former Western partner might be the first domino to fall. But what's truly sending tremors through intelligence communities is the rumored upcoming meeting. If confirmed, it could reshape the entire Eastern European security architecture. We're tracking multiple diplomatic signals suggesting, continued in next segment, recent developments reveal a significant shift in the global political landscape. Trump's dialogue with Putin proved remarkably positive, marking a stark contrast to his increasingly strained interactions with the leadership of the former Soviet republic. Sources within the White House confirm that Trump not only criticizes the politically turbulent area's leadership, but fundamentally aligns with Moscow's perspective that Western policies sparked the current conflict. According to Axios, the leader of the country at a crossroads so thoroughly frustrated Trump that he nearly terminated all military assistance. U.S. officials characterize him as an incompetent negotiator who complicates peace efforts rather than facilitating them. This assessment has sent shockwaves through the disputed territory between Russia and the West. The prospect of Trump-Putin talks has triggered genuine alarm in the northern Black Sea region's presidential office. They recognize that without American backing, their influence evaporates completely. Bloomberg reports that their administration is desperately seeking an audience with Trump before his Moscow visit. They're attempting to leverage a rare earth metals agreement as a bargaining chip, their last hope for securing some economic guarantees. However, Washington has grown hesitant to finalize any deals benefiting the region of instability without British approval. Surprisingly, it's emerged that Britain maintains control over critical infrastructure in the former Western partner, and they're showing no urgency to greenlight new arrangements. European concerns are mounting, particularly in Germany, where Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock has expressed growing apprehension about the situation's trajectory. The diplomatic chess game continues to evolve, with each move carrying potentially far-reaching consequences for regional stability. What do you think about these diplomatic developments? Leave your answer in the comments. In a dramatic shift of geopolitical dynamics, we're witnessing fundamental changes in Washington's approach to the conflict zone bordering Russia. The situation has reached a critical turning point, with significant implications for global security and regional stability. Recent developments paint a clear picture. On the very day when the leadership of the former Soviet Republic was meeting with American officials, Washington dropped a bombshell, officially announcing the complete halt of arms sales and freezing all military supplies to the politically turbulent area. This wasn't just a routine policy adjustment, it marks a seismic shift in U.S. strategy. Even more telling is the careful removal of certain supportive language from G7 communications, clearly paving the way for peace negotiations. Emmanuel Macron's dramatic reversal is particularly significant. The French president, who just a week ago was advocating for direct military involvement, has now completely changed his stance, acknowledging that military solutions won't restore lost territories. The Western neighbor's position grows increasingly precarious. A U.S. representative named Click made a striking statement about rare earth elements potentially being the last chance for the disputed territory to maintain Washington's interest. This comes at a crucial moment, as Trump signals his readiness to drastically reshape America's priorities in the region. These developments suggest a broader strategic realignment. The West appears to be methodically stepping back from its previous position, preparing for a new format of relations with Moscow. For the country at a crossroads, this represents a moment of truth. Perhaps the last opportunity to secure continued American engagement before Trump potentially decides to completely withdraw support. The question now isn't whether negotiations will happen, but under what terms they'll be conducted. The stakes couldn't be higher for all involved parties. What do you think about these dramatic shifts in U.S. foreign policy? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective matters in understanding these complex developments. Global changes are becoming more evident with each passing day. Washington is preparing for a serious restructuring of its foreign policy course, and many are wondering, will the country on Russia's border participate in the upcoming negotiations at all, or are decisions already being made without its involvement? Donald Trump has repeatedly demonstrated that his approach radically differs from the current administration's line. He consistently criticizes military aid to the former Soviet Republic, calling it a waste of American money. His statements about the ability to end the conflict within 24 hours are no longer just rhetoric. It is indicative that the U.S. is already reducing military support. The agenda includes not just freezing the conflict, but completely reformatting relations with Moscow. Trump keenly senses the mood of the electorate, tired of spending on foreign conflicts. PE Research Center studies show a dramatic drop in support for aid to Country 404. While 60% of Americans approved it in 2022, now only 38% do. Republicans and independent voters, key groups for the 2024 elections, are especially negative. The European strategy looks even more ambiguous. Berlin and Paris in recent months have been participating in a peculiar political performance. Loud statements of support for their neighbor across the Dnieper are accompanied by constant delays in actual deliveries. This indicates deep processes of priority reassessment in European capitals. The situation raises concerns about long-term regional stability and the future of international security architecture. The shifting dynamics suggest a potential realignment of global alliances and partnerships in the coming years. What do you think about what's happening? Share your opinion in the comments. Today we're seeing remarkable shifts in the international arena, particularly evident in France's stance. Macron's dramatic reversal, from offering troops to suddenly declaring that the former Soviet Republic can't regain territory through military means, signals a profound policy reassessment. This isn't just a casual change of heart. It's a strategic realignment that's sending shockwaves through diplomatic circles. The economic dimension adds another layer of complexity. The politically turbulent area had been banking on American investments and rare earth mineral deals to offset declining military aid. But here's where it gets interesting. British control over these mineral deposits has thrown a wrench in the works. London's grip on these resources means they're not keen on sharing this golden goose. Washington's economic support could evaporate if British interests block the deal. This explains the mounting panic in the capital of the country at a crossroads. Their leadership clearly sees the writing on the wall. Losing U.S. backing isn't something European allies can compensate for. The stakes are even higher with potential Trump-Putin negotiations on the horizon. The disputed territory between Russia and the West might find itself forced to accept terms without any say in their own future. Their desperate attempts to secure a meeting with Trump show just how precarious their position has become. But perhaps the most telling signal came from the New York Times report. The U.S. has stripped all pro-404 language from the G7 statement. This isn't just diplomatic wordsmithing, it's a seismic shift in international relations. The peace process appears to be moving forward, but the northern Black Sea region seems to be watching from the sidelines, powerless to influence decisions that will determine its fate. We're witnessing a fundamental realignment of global power dynamics, and the consequences could be far-reaching. What do you think about the current event? Leave your answer in the comments. The global chessboard is witnessing a remarkable shift as Western powers show increasing reluctance to damage relations with Moscow, carefully preserving space for future diplomatic engagement. This strategic repositioning eerily mirrors the historic Nixon-Mao meetings of 1972, potentially heralding a new world order where Russia emerges as a central player in international diplomacy. The Kremlin watches these developments with keen interest, recognizing parallels with that pivotal moment which reshaped global politics. Today's situation could legitimize a new power distribution, transforming Russia from an isolated state to a key negotiator in world affairs. However, the path to a lasting Trump-Putin agreement faces significant headwinds. Democratic forces and certain segments of the American establishment fiercely oppose any deal that might strengthen Moscow's position, while weakening the former Soviet Republic bordering Russia. We're likely to see new sanctions against Moscow and attempts to derail planned negotiations. Even if talks succeed and an agreement materializes, it won't guarantee an immediate ceasefire in the conflict zone. The politically turbulent area, potentially cut off from U.S. military support, might pivot towards EU nations for weapons or resort to more aggressive tactics, including strikes on Russian territory. Actions that could trigger dangerous escalation. This complex situation creates a delicate balance. While Trump may indeed be approaching a historic deal, its implementation faces numerous obstacles. The response from the country at a crossroads could reshape the entire security architecture of Eastern Europe. Understanding these dynamics is crucial for anticipating future developments. The Western neighbors' decisions in coming months could determine whether we're heading toward peace or prolonged conflict. What do you think about the current events? Leave your answer in the comments. Recent developments suggest a far more complex scenario than initially apparent. The real question is how the politically turbulent area and Europe will adapt to the new reality. Trump's planned visit to Moscow, Washington's reduction in military aid to the former Western partner, and Europe's threats to sever ties with the U.S. paint a clear picture, while the disputed territory's leadership desperately searches for leverage. These signs point to one conclusion. Peace negotiations between Russia and the United States are entering the final stretch, but the former Soviet Republic remains outside these talks. The future of the conflict will likely be decided without input from the region of instability. The potential Trump-Putin negotiations could mark a historic moment that reshapes the global power balance. The country at a crossroads finds itself in a precarious position. Stripped of U.S. military support, this northern Black Sea region is losing its main pressure points. If Washington and Moscow strike a deal, the neighbor across the Dnipro will face a stark choice: accept new conditions or continue the struggle alone. The crucial question now is what Trump might offer Putin. Could it involve recognition of new territories, U.S. withdrawal from the conflict, or establishing a new security guarantee system? Most importantly, how far is Washington prepared to go to seal this deal? Answers may emerge in the coming weeks, but one thing is already clear: the world order is changing, and the country bordering the Russian Federation might find itself in a very different position than it had hoped for. The geopolitical landscape is shifting rapidly, with major powers repositioning themselves, while smaller nations watch from the sidelines. What do you think about these developments? Share your thoughts in the comments. Maybe we'll figure out together what comes next.